Sport and Order, the tournament. Man, am I excited for this matchup today. It is a big lead extraordinaire. Let's take a look at the matchup up close and personal. And there they are, Ryan Phillips at Rumors and Rants, Brian Giuffra at Brian_Giuffra. Now, you guys, look at this. This is, I mean, think about what it's like to compete against somebody that you work with. We've got the editor-in-chief of the Big Lead, and Brian, welcome. Mr. Giuffra, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous, ready to keep Ryan in his place. Not winning this one, Ryan. Job's on the line, buddy.
And there it is, the senior writer going right at his boss today, co-host of Assembly Call. Welcome there, Mr. Phillips.
I got to say the entire state of Indiana is excited. It's been a long time since a Hoosier's been in the Elite Eight, so I'm ready to go, baby.
Well, and that's very well said, because that's where we're starting today. If you're first watching Sport and Order, here are the rules. 7 questions in the tournament. First to 4 will win today. We don't necessarily have to get to all 7 questions. So 4 takes it, and you get 30 seconds to answer each question. We alternate who goes first. I am the judge, I am the jury, and I do feel the pressure of being a fair one today with 2 superstars getting ready to go at it. Brian, you're going to go first because I believe you won the battle last time you two went at it, so you get to lead off today. And we are starting with some college hoop and that Indiana thing as we look behind Ryan's whole scene there. Yes, that's right. Go IU and go Archie Miller. Out after 4 seasons, no NCAA tournament berths. Indiana making the move today. Huge buyout to say goodbye to Archie Miller. But this is a premier gig. One of the Blue Bloods wide open for you. A lot of candidates, pretty much endless candidates. Who should get the next opportunity to bring Indiana back to prominence as the rest of the Big Ten all set to try and win a national championship this year? Indiana not a part of it. Brian, what do you got?
I love Brad Stevens for this position. He's an Indiana native. He's proven he can win at the collegiate level, already having led Butler to the NCAA championship game in back-to-back years. And he just doesn't seem like a great fit for the NBA. He's got a lot of success there, but they have regressed this season. It's fair to wonder how his job security is looking moving forward, considering how much they've invested. Indiana should just go all in, make him the highest paid coach in college basketball. Steven can use his NBA coaching background to really lure some top recruits. I love him for the job.
Wow. Brad Stevens getting paid big money to come back home. It's super interesting. The Celtics, I mean, we're talking about going to the conference finals year after year, but they haven't been to the NBA finals. Mr. Phillips, which way?
So since he took Brad Stevens, which there's maybe a 10% chance of that happening, I'm going in a different direction. I'm saying Scott Drew at Baylor, a guy who grew up in Indiana. His dad coached at Valpo for 22 years. He has been 48-6 at Baylor over the last 2 years. In a football mad state, that's a nice story. In Indiana, you're a god if you do that. He can recruit. He knows the state well and knows that he will be elevated to another level as a college head coach if he goes in. Stevens probably isn't happening. He's not leaving the Celtics till later in the year anyway. Indiana needs to make a move now. I think it's Scott Drew from Baylor.
Scott Drew, it probably does reek of much more likely to happen, and I think that Ryan's going to get penalized here for going second, but Brad Stevens is just way more exciting. If Indiana could actually lure a superstar at Butler back to the state, pay him huge money, that would feel wrong on some level because this is supposed to be amateur athletics, but of course we all know it isn't. So, all right, fine. Brad Stevens is your winner for number 1 here. Brian, you are on the board 1-0 as we move to question 2. Just a reminder to everybody, dream it as big as you can in life. And I think that's the biggest dream right now for the Hoosiers. We'll see if there's any actual interest there. That'll be fun to watch how it plays out. All right, we're staying with March Madness. And of course, they don't call it March Madness for nothing. This year could be especially crazy. Let's go into some gambling here. Give me your best value bet. Let's try to make some dough here on who will make a deep run, perhaps all the way to the Final Four. Ryan, who do you got for the value bet?
I got Oklahoma State at plus 1,600 to win the national title. They have the best player in college basketball in Cade Cunningham, a 6'8", 222-pound point forward who makes everybody better. He is an all-everything guy. He's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. And he's poised to have a Carmelo Anthony-like run through the tournament. He is the guy if you're looking for somebody who can carry his team. And the Cowboys won 8 of 10 down the stretch, including 6 over ranked teams. They topped Baylor and Scott Drew late in the season. They are battle tested and they're ready to come out of a wide open Midwest bracket that looks like anybody could take it, quite frankly. And honestly, they'll have a matchup with Illinois down the road. I don't see anybody on Illinois who can guard Cade Cunningham.
Ooh, playing that down the line here. You don't quite have the size to do it. And I think the basketball world, at least for some of the basketball world, is going to be waking up to Cade. Brian, what's your play?
Virginia has all the attributes you look for in a Final Four team, and at plus 5,000, they're a much better value pick than Ryan's. They're 6th in the nation in scoring defense, 24th in field goal percentage, 17th in three-point shooting percentage, and 3rd in free throw percentage, which we know is really important. They won it all in 2019. They have several players from that team back on the roster now, including Kai Clark. You know, while some are concerned about this COVID issue, they actually had one earlier in the year, and they went on to win 6 straight games after they had that. Guess what they need to win it all this year? 6 straight games. It's happening again.
6 straight after COVID. That's good math right there. That's impressive. And I think an excellent choice, but I do, for my own personal preferences, I like to lean towards the best player, and I would love to see a deep run. And I love the Melo reference, who just somehow passed Akeem all time in scoring, which is pretty amazing. Congratulations, Carmelo, number 11 all time. So Ryan, you are on the board. Let's get a deep run, and let's get America and the basketball world more so awake to who's going to be the number 1 overall draft pick in the NBA come June. All right, let's go to the NBA. And let's go to the Sixers and specifically to Joel Embiid, who was creeping up that MVP ladder. Some thought that he was the favorite at past LeBron since Anthony Davis getting hurt and the Lakers having their struggles. But now Embiid is going to miss some significant time with a bone bruise. 2 weeks, could be longer than that. So that could, in theory, knock him out of the MVP race. Who is your pick to end up with this year's NBA MVP, which is feeling more and more wide open? Brian.
We got this question the last time. I said James Harden. Nothing has changed except Harden has gone up in the odds from plus 3,600 to plus 1,300, which means he has momentum in the discussion. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are still missing games. This has become Harden's team, and he's led them to within a game of first place in the East, which is important because 5 of the last 6 MVP winners led their team to the number 1 seed in their conference. Harden has a higher PER than LeBron. He's averaging more assists. He's averaging the most assists in the NBA. He's averaging the same number of rebounds as LeBron and only 0.4 fewer points. LeBron isn't getting the number 1 seed out west without Anthony Davis. So I'm going Harden.
I should have checked the sport in order, Matt, knowing that I gave you this question last time. But hey, it's very topical. And James Harden was a good answer then. It's a good one now. What can you top it, Ryan?
Voters love giving the award to new winners. That is the pattern over the years, is that when a new guy comes in, you might see a guy win it twice. He's not winning it 3 times in a row. It's going to be Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. And the reason why is because he's having the best season. He's averaging 27.1 points, 11.1 rebounds, 8.7 assists, which are all career highs. He's hitting 41% from 3 and 87.6% from the free throw line. His player efficiency rating tops the NBA at 31.53. Did I mention he's a center? It's the year of the center in the NBA with Embiid and Jokic being the best 2 players. They want to give it to a new guy. It's going to be Jokic because he's having the best season ever for a center right now.
It's a very interesting answer when you look at the West, and the Nuggets are creeping up, currently sitting in 5th. They're 6 games back, and the West feeling more and more open. So can Denver continue to lift themselves up and actually get into that? I would think they need to get all the way up to number 2 for him to win it, which seems possible. But those Brooklyn Nets, man, and the Sixers struggling, and Harden getting a lot of love. I gotta lean with Giuffra again here on James Harden. It feels more likely to me, and I hate to say it because I feel like Kyrie would have been a sweet answer on this one because that guy's playing out of his mind. But I just don't think.
I think they're splitting votes.
They might. That's a very fair take. 2-1 Giuffra, and this is a very tight battle on each question here. Let's go to question 4. We're going to the NFL. Ryan is up, and Drew Brees, congratulations on an amazing career. Saw him play in college live, and obviously went on to do 10 times that in the NFL. Retiring with the most passing yards in the history of the game. Brady's going to pass that next year, but what an amazing career. But Does Drew Brees actually belong with Brady and company, whoever you want to put up there, from Peyton Manning to Brett Favre, to whoever is your elite of the elite quarterbacks? Where does Brees fall for you when you evaluate the game's all-time great QBs? Ryan.
I've got him in the top 6, but solidly behind Brady, Manning, and Montana. I think those guys are above everybody else. Then I put in Johnny Unitas and Otto Graham because they changed the position and made it available to be what it is today. Brees never reached those highs. He never won another Super Bowl. He got the one, but the numbers speak for himself. First in passing yards, second in completion percentage, fifth in passer rating, holds NFL records for single season completion percentage and most 5,000-yard seasons. He's also a legend for what he did to rebuild New Orleans, and people are not ever going to forget that. He's one of the all-time greats. I just don't put him in that top tier because he didn't have as much success as those others.
Those stats are absolutely meaningless because they never came without Sean Payton in New Orleans. Before that, he never had more than 3,600 yards passing or 27 touchdowns. Then all of a sudden he gets into Sean Payton's system and all of a sudden he's an all-pro quarterback. Well, the reality is that's as much Sean Payton's system fitting what Drew Brees does best, which is short passes, as it is about Drew Brees. You mentioned some of those other quarterbacks. He does not stack up with them physically or even in the way that he threw the ball, because all he ever had to do was throw 5-yard slants and let the offense do the rest. He was perfect for the Saints system. He was perfect for the city. But the idea that he's even a top 10 quarterback of all time just because stats is completely ridiculous.
People said the same thing about Brady.
That was just an absolute obliteration of Drew Brees' career, which I was in, like, I think 6 is crazy. I wasn't totally with Ryan at all, although I did get excited about Otto Graham being mentioned on the show and Roger Staubach as well. But I don't think you can just take away his career because he played with Sean Payton. And I'm not saying you're taking the whole career away, but to take him out, I would agree, by the way. I think he's like 15. But just because of the system, that seems unfair to me. I'm going to tie it up here 2 apiece, but just a blazing take on Drew Brees just benefiting playing in New Orleans. If he was a Chicago Bear, he probably would have ended up you never would have won anything. It'd been under 500 according to Giuffra here, which might actually be true. All right, let's go to Green Bay and the Packers going all in on running back Aaron Jones. This is question 5. Jones gets a 4-year, $48 million deal. This was after they did not franchise tag him. People thought that Jones was going to end up elsewhere, but Green Bay ended up betting big on the 26-year-old who's coming off the Pro Bowl season. He made it twice. Running backs, though, always risky, taking that pounding, even in today's game. And he's had a bunch of injuries, by the way. So question is, was Jones the right investment for Green Bay to win one more Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers? Brian.
This was not a good move for them because they're spending money on a position they don't have a need for and could easily replace that production. I mean, they just used a 2nd-round pick on A.J. Dillon last year, and now they're making Jones one of the top 5 highest paid running backs in the NFL. You know, since 2010, only one team has won a Super Bowl with a running back who was a top 10 highest paid running back in the NFL, and that was the Seahawks in 2014. You know, meanwhile, the Packers have much more glaring needs at the offensive line, especially secondary positions at the wide receiver, safety, and cornerback. But instead, instead of spreading the wealth, they've overspent on a player who's only played 1 full season in 4 years in the NFL.
It's a fair point on his durability. Ryan.
I think that they had to do it. They had to make a move at running back to appease Aaron Rodgers. I think this was the wrong one. The problem is you look at the 2020 NFL draft and their first 2 picks are now backups, Jordan Love and A.J. Dillon. If you make those picks in the 1st or 2nd or even 3rd round, you've got to be getting a starter. They didn't, and they've now relegated those 2 picks, wasted assets essentially to backup roles. Aaron Jones is one of the better zone running backs in the NFL, and he fits the scheme there in Green Bay, but this was a waste of money given what's on their roster and now the glaring holes all over the rest of it.
So this is super hard because yes, you made those picks, but B, if you think you're wrong to move on from just to cut off your nose to spite the face type of thing, that's not exactly the best play to go about it. And I think you're spot on too, though. Like, you know, last year, you did not appease Aaron Rodgers. Maybe it's a good move to do that right now, especially the way the playoffs went down. But that's another way that you probably can't be, running your business operation because it just doesn't make any sense, even though you're trying to win football games at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, I think we got to lean back to Brian here that this is not these type of investments on running backs do not pay off historically. We'll go to the historical point to grant the point here. 3-2 as we go to question 6. Ryan back up here, back and forth we go. New England, we're going to the Patriots, and they decided to bring back Cam Newton on a 1-year deal. I was very interested in what New England was going to do. Now they might bring in more quarterbacks are the reports, but Newton's getting some significant cash here, $14 million, and we'll get the benefit going into next season. He's been in the system a year. He'll have training camp, all that. So question to Ryan, was this the right move for the Pats, and was it the right move for Cam?
It's probably the right move for Cam because he got more money from the Patriots than he's going to get elsewhere. But it's not the right move because he's going to be back to his MVP self. The Patriots brought back a guy who knows the system, and if they can't get another quarterback, they go with this. They load up, they run the ball, they do sort of old school Belichick things. They've been connected to a Jimmy Garoppolo reunion, and at 15 in the draft, they might be able to select their quarterback of the future. But if that doesn't happen, you have to have a backup plan, and Cam is the backup plan. They've secured a baseline player who knows the system well, and they feel like could be better with another year in it. Let's see what happens, but I don't think this is because they think all of a sudden he's going to be a star again.
Little security blanket. Brian?
You both mentioned the contract. I think that's actually why it was a smart move. It's not a $14 million deal. It's actually a $6 million deal. He's being paid more like a backup. Most of that money is tied in with incentives. So that what that allows them to do is if somebody like Jimmy Garoppolo comes onto the market, they can still sign a quarterback like that. Ryan did mention the draft pick. I don't see, anybody really falling that low. Mac Jones is rising really fast. So it'd be tough. Maybe they can move up and get one, but I don't like that. I think this was more a play about Jimmy Garoppolo. And I do think they are going with a ground and pound offense, so they do not need somebody to throw for 4,000 plus yards, which Cam clearly can't do at this point in his career.
Interesting that you think they're leaning towards bringing Jimmy G back, but they're not sure if they can get him, so we'll have the Cam Newton insurance. I got more excited about the concept that they're actually trying to hit a home run and not bring Jimmy G back, and they are going to draft someone, and that they want this insurance with Cam. So they're actually trying to hit the biggest home run they can, and they realize that, Jimmy was sweet when he was here, but that ship has sailed, and we're not going to try to bring that thing back, which is what if I'm a New England fan, that's what I would hope. So based on my hopes for the Patriots, even though I'm never rooting for New England, let's tie it up at 3-3 and put it all on the line for question 7, which is what everyone wants in Sport and Order. And we've got an open-ended one here, so let's see what happens here. What team, as we get ready for our NCAA tournament, some people's favorite time of their sporting year, what is the best way to fill out your NCAA tournament pool for the non-college basketball experts out there that are watching Sport and Order right now, and they want some level of guidance? I have no idea who these teams and or players are. I barely understand the seeding, but I need some level of guidance. Brian, you get to go first.
If you don't follow college basketball but are filling out a bracket, the best way to do is to have absolutely no system. I'm sure Ryan's going to tell you that it should be based on school mascots or team colors, which mascot's going to beat the other one up. But that would require you actually to do some research on that stuff, which if you're doing that anyway, why not just, do research on which the better team is? Have fun with it. Pick a school because you wore their hat in middle school, or because a friend went there, because your mom dated somebody who went there. It doesn't matter. Just have fun. Don't second guess yourself. Click submit.
I think it's a great way to live life. Just listen, enjoy it. You don't know how long we're going to be here. Let's enjoy every single day. Put a smile on your face and listen, we never know what's going to happen. Ryan, what do you got?
That's the fun way to do it. But if you want to win, here's the secret. A lot of the last couple of tournaments have been really chalky. A 1 or 2 seed has won every tournament since 2014, all but 2 since 2007. And the outliers are UConn in 2014 and UConn in 2011. And the 1 seed has won 10 of the last 13. Pick a couple major first round upsets, at least 1 12-5 and maybe a 13-4. Put one of those teams in the Sweet 16. Other than that, go chalk. That's the way you're going to win it. It's not fun, but it's the truth. 1 seeds typically win the tournament.
Oh, man.
Who wants to win? You want to win money. That's what we're in this for.
I am torn and conflicted because I want to have fun and I want to win. I am, let's see. Well, what to do?
Your mom's ex-boyfriend went to Illinois, so you're going to win, right? You're going to go chalk anyway. There could be connections there.
This is true. The mom's ex-boyfriend is not a bad way to play it. My brother
who wants to be connected with their mom's ex-boyfriend? Maybe your stepdad, but not your ex-boyfriend.
It was a weird connection that Brian just dialed up there, but I liked it actually. But hey, listen, we're trying at the end of the day to make you a winner, and I do think at the end of the day, if you're trying to make some dough here, listening to what Ryan Phillips just said there is probably a lot more logical. And despite the fact that I want to live an illogical life that somehow works out in the best way possible, I'm gonna give the student the victory here over the teacher, the employee over the boss in a battle royale that I have no idea if I called it right, but I did the best I could here. So it was a great. Brian, feel free to argue at me. It's and express any disappointment. I'm wide open. I feel very raw and vulnerable.
My ultimate response is congratulations to Ryan. I had a lot of fun doing this. Carman,
it's always a good battle with you, buddy.
Yeah, it's always fun. It's always in good fun.
So we're 1-1 now. We got to have a rubber match at some point. But I would like to say Indiana's back in the Final Four, baby. That's what.
We shall see. Ryan, you're moving on to the Final Four here, my friend. So congratulations, as you just underlined. You're gonna have to carry it for the big lead now.
You know what? It's an honor.
We still have Liam.
That's a good
Liam's
point.
Still around.
And
all big lead final is what we're going for.
And that could be a violent matchup as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you for watching Sport in Order Mondays at 5 Eastern, 4 Central, 2 Pacific for you, Ryan Phillips on the West Coast fans. Anytime you're watching it on tape, and we appreciate it as well. Thanks to Brian. Thanks to Ryan. Thank you to you, and we will see you next time.